Have you ever marveled at structural elegance of Taj Mahal, the sleek designs of Apple's iconic logo, the curves and lines of latest luxury cars, or the patterns on the surface of a pine cone? Perhaps you would have noticed the precise number of petals in a flower or the definition of beauty in nature or human body. Well, it all comes down to simple yet fascinating concept in mathematics, ratios and proportions. Isn't it fascinating how ratio and proportion connect everything around us? In fact, mathematics is often called as the language of the cosmos. Now, can you tell me who's the most famous mathematician in this whole world? Of course, it's Mother Nature. And that's why it becomes imperative to learn this language. Let's not treat mathematics as a set of rules to be followed without even understanding its context. Many a times, topics are introduced in the class without explaining the context. In today's video, we will delve into the basic concepts of ratio and proportion and explore how it connects art, beauty, and science. In our daily lives, we often depend on ratios, even without realizing it. Think about baking a perfect cake. You need the right ratio of flour to sugar for that tasty, smooth cake. When constructing a road, the precise mix of cement and sand is crucial. Even the screens you're watching this video on, whether it's your TV or computer monitor, they follow a standard aspect ratio of 16:9. And while editing this video, I had to be sure about maintaining the correct ratio of these images. But it does not end here. Maps, which we use for navigation, use a scale ratio to show us how much smaller the map is compared to the actual terrain. So, what exactly is ratio? A ratio is a tool for comparison. It is the comparison between two or more quantities. This comparison is expressed either as a fraction, x by y, or it is written as x is to y. So ratio is used to compare similar quantities. So if I have to compare the apples and oranges, so here we have 3 apples and 9 oranges, or you can say for every 1 apple, there is 3 orange. Let's take another example. To make a pancake, ratio of flour to milk is 3:2. If you have 12 units of flour, how much milk is required to make a pancake? So for 3 cups of flour, you need 2 cups of milk. So for 3 into 4, 12 units of flour, you would need 2 into 4, 8 cups of milk. So this question on ratio could be relatively tough. You can try solving this question and please put the answer in the comment box. So the question is, the total income of Anya and Falak is in the ratio 3:4. The total expenditure is in the ratio 4:5. So the question is, find the ratio of their savings if the expenditure is not equal to their salaries. And the answers could be either option A, which is 1:1, or 2:3, option B, option C, 12:17, or it could be none of these options. So all the best trying this question. Moving on to proportion. So what is proportion? Proportion is equality of two ratios. So if A, B, C, and D are in proportion, then it could be written as A by B is equal to C by D, or A is to B is to C is to D. So understand the meaning of the word proportion, the relationship between A and B. The same relationship should exist between C and D. For example, in English, you would have come across such examples. So if reading is to books, so swimming will be equal to pools, right? So the relationship, like the relationship between smile and frown, similarly, the same relationship exists between laugh and cry, right? So you can understand equality of two ratios is proportion. So pen is to paper is to keyboard is to screen. In this image, the tree and the pole maintain the balanced relationship with their shadows. So again, using proportion, we can easily find the height of the tree. So h upon 2.9 is equal to 2.4. That's the length of the pole and the length of the shadow. So using proportion, you can easily find the height of the tree. Now, can you see the next image of two triangles which are similar? Right. So here you can say the ratio of A by X will be equal to B by Y is equal to C by Z. So they are proportional. The two triangles are proportional. Let's try solving this question. So Anya, Mahi and Livia, they bought a bike for $60. Anya paid half of the amount paid by the others. Mahi paid 1/3 of the amount paid by others. How much did Livia pay for the bike? This looks like a question on equation. So normally you might start across with the sum of the money paid by Anya, Mahi and Livia is 60. Then Anya paid 1/2 of Mahi plus Livia's amount. And Mahi paid 1/3 of Livia plus Anya. But try to use ratio proportion. It will be easier rather than solving the equations. So can I say Mahi and Livia, if they had paid 2x, then Anya would have paid x, which means out of $60, right, the ratio in which Anya would have paid is equal to 1:2. If others have paid 2, Anya has paid 1, which means, can I say, Anya would have paid 1/3 of 60, which is she has paid $20. Similarly, if you see, Mahi has paid 1/3 of Livia plus Anya. So can I say out of $60, if others have paid 3, Mahi has paid 1? So how much did Mahi pay? So Mahi would have paid out of 4 parts, she paid 1 part. Right? So 1/4 of $60, which is she paid $15. So if Anya paid 20, Mahi paid 15, that is total 35. So how much did Livia pay? So Livia would have paid 60 minus 35. So she would have paid $25. Ratio gives you a perspective to solve, whereas in equations, you are solving by step by step. Now let's see what is the difference between ratio and proportion. Give it a thought. I know you would definitely come to the conclusion that equality of two ratios is proportion, but that is mathematical terminology. What exactly do you mean when we say, where do I use ratio and where do I use proportion? So basic difference is ratio is used for similar quantities. I want to compare the height of 10 students, I'll use ratio. Proportion is used to compare dissimilar quantities. So for example, your smart work and the marks which you're getting in exam, if I want to compare, I'll use proportion. So you have the number of bananas is proportional to the price of the banana, or more the speed, more the distance. So that is proportion, which is comparing two dissimilar quantities. Moving on to golden ratio. This is one of the most famous ratio which is everywhere around you, in fact in nature. So golden ratio refers to golden proportion, also known as divine proportion. It symbolizes geometrical perfection. Now this ratio can be found by dividing a straight line into two parts, such that the ratio of the longer part A to the smaller part B is same as the ratio of the total length A plus B divided by A. The value of this ratio is denoted by phi, an irrational number. Now the golden ratio is also closely related to another well-known mathematical phenomena known as Fibonacci sequence. So that is created by adding two subsequent terms. So 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 2, 5, like that it goes on. So if you observe closely, if you divide any term from the previous term, you would get a ratio which is closer to 1.618, our golden ratio. So as we move higher on, it goes closer to 1.618. So for example, 21 divided by 30 is 1.615. 34 divided by 21 is 1.619. 55 divided by 34 is 1.617. So as you move higher, whenever you divide any term from the previous term, you would get a number which is close to golden ratio. A golden spiral can be inscribed within a golden rectangle. It is created by splitting the rectangle into squares and a smaller golden rectangle, then repeating the process in smaller rectangle. So if quarter circles are then inscribed in the squares, it creates a golden spiral. So if you can observe, these are just the terms which we have used in Fibonacci sequence. Luca Pacioli, the mathematician or the teacher of Leonardo da Vinci, concluded that ratio was a message from God, a source of secret knowledge about the inner beauty of things. Mathematics is not just about application and calculation. It is also the science of patterns and drawing inspiration.